What's up NBA fans, Dom2K on the mic, and before this video starts I have to give a shout out to Viking Graphics on Instagram because he did help me with my thumbnail in the last video. I've got no clue how to do jersey swaps yet and he knows all about that, and he just makes beautiful designs in general on Instagram, so if you're into that kind of stuff I have his link in the description and I have his handle on the screen. You can go give him a follow. And this works out perfectly because in the previous video I discussed 3 likely scenarios that happened in the 2017 NBA offseason. In one of the scenarios I discussed the situation the Celtics were now in, that they've officially got the first pick in the draft, and it's a pretty unique situation they've got. Just to recap, at the time of this recording they're currently within 3 wins of the NBA Finals. They're an attractive free agent destination because of that, but the pick they've got is gonna turn out to be a point guard, being that those are the best available players, and that's not really such a good thing because the Celtics already have the guards position filled. Most people have it pegged that they're gonna be drafting Markelle Fultz. They could get Lonzo Ball, but we highly doubt it. However, as I detailed in that video, their first tough decision is gonna be whether they actually keep that pick or not. If they keep him, they have to try and develop him alongside Isaiah Thomas. He'll possibly be starting behind Avery Bradley, and there's still a chance that Boston is gonna land a guy like Hayward this summer. So originally I was asking, would a point guard draft prospect ever develop in this lineup? However, after that video I held discussions with a few people, and I actually heard the scenario of trading Isaiah Thomas come up. Now at first I dismissed it and I basically thought the idea was crazy because, you know, why would you even consider trading your star player at 30 points a game while you're in the Eastern Conference Finals? That kinda sounds a lot like the time the Hawks were first in the East when Michael Jordan was temporarily retired and they traded Dominique Wilkins off of the assumption that the younger talent was the way to go, even though they already had a good situation. But then I started to think about it a little. What really piqued my interest is that I saw a report that Boston had considered trading Isaiah Thomas for a lottery pick last offseason, and this basically showed me that nobody on this roster is really untouchable. Now, although I think we're pretty glad they didn't do that, it kinda made me realize that in conjunction with what Boston is gonna do with their current lottery pick, they also have a decision that may make or break this team for the long run. Do they trade Isaiah Thomas, or do they trust him as the star that can lead Boston to a championship? It's not as cut and dry as you might think. Thomas is currently 27 years young, and he's only signed up until the summer of 2018, meaning, yes, you may not have realized it, but Thomas is a free agent next summer. This makes life for the Celtics rather difficult because whatever decision they make, they have to make it relatively quickly. There's no doubt in my mind that Thomas is gonna want the big bucks next summer. When you look at his salary, he just started making over $1 million a year in the 2014 season. Relative to NBA stars, he hasn't made that much money, so there's no way you can convince me that a 30 points a game scorer isn't going to be looking for a huge payday next summer. Now, if the Celtics weren't sitting on a #1 draft pick that's inevitably going to be a point guard anyways, this wouldn't be such a big problem because then the plan is simple: re-sign Thomas and get another star. However, as I mentioned in the other video, there's the very real possibility that if Boston wants to contend and keep this pick, they're not going to be able to get the most out of whoever they draft. At that point actually, meaning if they do get to sign Hayward, they're probably better off trading the pick for another star and building the team around Hayward, Thomas, and whoever that third guy may be. But before they get to that point, I want to ask you guys a question. Is Isaiah Thomas truly going to be the guy that leads the Celtics to the championship? I know he's got an amazing story, he's a warrior for being the size he is and still dominating, but that does not change the fact that he's a 5'9" point guard. He's not a very good defensive player, and what he gives the team is pretty much limited to the offensive end. We've seen proof that he can lead the Celtics to playoff series wins. That's happened this year, but when it comes to the very end and they have to play the Clevelands and the Golden States of the world, is this your championship centerpiece? See, when we think of championship centerpieces, we think of players that don't have huge downsides to offset their upsides. So for instance, it's known that Curry isn't a great on-ball defender, but his insane marksmanship pretty much covers up for that. We know Thomas is a great scorer, but not only is he a liability on defense, when you get into a series with a team like Cleveland who can focus their defensive energy to making sure he doesn't burn you, it's not ridiculously hard to do because of his size. Now, this can be changed if Boston gets another star or two, because then you can't just gear the defense to stopping Isaiah Thomas like you can right now. However, this goes back to the decision that Boston has got to make, because if Isaiah Thomas is your guy, it makes far more sense to go ahead and trade that pick for a star this summer. However, what if he isn't your guy? Well, this is where Boston has a bit of a predicament a lot of people aren't talking about. The Celtics have to be 110% sure about their future with Isaiah Thomas by the trade deadline in February of next season, because if they haven't dealt him by then, if they were planning to, and they're still not sure about him, they could lose him in free agency for nothing. That's an even bigger problem because, well, how are you going to know you can trust this rookie prospect to be your next franchise point guard by next February? Look, unless this guy just comes in and lights the league up, you're ultimately taking a huge gamble, and it's a make or break gamble really. Let's just make it easy and say Boston is drafting Fultz because that's what we all expect. Not to sound like a broken record, but Fultz is going to be playing shooting guard, and I don't know if he's starting over Bradley or not from day one. Even if he does start, Thomas is still the primary ball handler. With that being the case, if Fultz isn't just absolutely tearing it up at the shooting guard position by February of next season, which isn't even a year away, what is Boston's proof that they can hand the keys to Fultz and trade Thomas away for some kind of value? So in essence, Boston's biggest problem is time, because they don't have adequate time to make some very tough decisions. Oh, and that brings me to another decision they gotta make. See, I know it seems like LeBron has been dominating the East forever now, and his time with Cleveland and this roster is even starting to feel like it's been a while, although it's only season number 3. Newsflash, Cleveland isn't going anywhere anytime soon. LeBron is 32 years old, Kyrie is 24, and Love is 28. Kyrie is signed through the 2019 season with the player option for 2020, Kevin Love has the same exact setup, and all jokes aside, LeBron is never leaving Cleveland again, not willingly at least. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but if there isn't any injuries to Cleveland or unforeseen trades or somebody wants out, does it not seem like Cleveland is going to be at least around the top of the East and the league for another 2 or 3 seasons at the least? I'm bringing up Cleveland just to say, Boston has also got to be deciding right now what's their plan for competing with the Cavs. They had a very prideful win in Game 3 without Isaiah Thomas, but regardless of if they win Game 4 or not, it's still kind of a foregone conclusion that Cleveland's going to be in the finals this season. So Boston can look at this and say, Love and Kyrie are likely going to be with LeBron in Cleveland at least until 2020 when James turns 35 years old. At that point, we have to remember that Father Time is undefeated, and it's near impossible that LeBron will be what he is today from that point forward. So the Cavs are going to have to change their game plan just a little bit and probably have Kyrie take on a little bit more of the load. Regardless of that, that's 3 seasons from now, so Boston can take this summer to build what they believe could be a direct threat to Cleveland right now, which is the tougher option being that Cleveland has a stacked team to play against the Warriors, or they might take the long-term approach and decide to trade Thomas in favor of their rookie prospect and build around him while trading Isaiah for more pieces while they still can. But as I mentioned earlier, that's an extremely difficult call to make, being that they might not have a way to know how good this prospect really is before February's trade deadline. Whatever they decide to do, the decision moving forward has to be made within the next 9 months. It'd be great if Thomas had a few more years left on his contract, because then there'd be time to feel this prospect out to have a better idea of where to go from here. I think because of the time factor alone, it's really more of a sure thing to make a hard run at getting a free agent this summer and moving forward with Thomas as the focus. Regardless of what they do though, this is a situation I'm going to be watching the closest for the next season, because Boston's decision making is crucial for whether they're going to end up the next superpower in the East or not. And that's what I got for you guys today. Boston has to make a decision very soon whether they're going to move on with Thomas for the next few years and try to build a championship team around him, or trade him in the next 9 months while he still has trade value for the Celtics. I'd love to hear what you guys think they should do or what they're gonna do, because this is a really tough decision. Make sure you leave your comment below, like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications on my videos. I'm Dom2K, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.